In a world filled with smiling deceivers and velvet-tongued manipulators, you are either the strategist or the prey. Today, we solve the problem that cripples the gentle and empowers the wicked: how to defeat manipulation without mercy, hesitation, or apology. I am Niccolò Machiavelli, through the shadowed corridors of human behavior. Listen closely, for power does not reward the naive. It rewards the one who sees through illusions and strikes with intention. These 14 methods will arm you with the same strategic cunning that rulers used to survive courts filled with liars, flatterers, and traitors. A manipulator's greatest weapon is not their voice, their charm, or even their lies. It is your willingness to take their words at face value. They speak with honey on their tongues, but their intentions, those sit behind the curtain, hidden like a dagger wrapped in silk. Understand this truth, and you begin to move from the world of the deceived into the world of the strategist. To outsmart manipulative people, you must train your mind to read motives the way a general reads the battlefield. Words are nothing but smoke. Motives are the fire that shapes every action, every request, every smile. When someone speaks, the Machiavellian mind does not listen to the sentence. It listens to the hunger behind the sentence. What do they gain if I believe this? What changes in their favor? What outcome quietly benefits them while appearing harmless to me? A manipulator will never tell you their true aim. They cloak their ambitions in kindness, in flattery, in false concern. They want you relaxed, unguarded, blind. But their actions always reveal the direction of their desire. A person who constantly pushes you toward decisions that serve them is not guiding you. They are hurting you. They are shaping your world so that your victories feed them and your losses weaken only you. Watch closely and patterns emerge. Manipulators have a rhythm, a predictable cycle driven by their motives. Some seek power, so they speak in ways that make you doubt yourself. Some seek control, so they demand explanations from you while offering none in return. Some crave validation, so they twist every situation until they appear as the victim, forcing you to comfort them. And some want obedience, so they create guilt, planting it like a seed that grows vines around your confidence. Never let their words distract you. A manipulator may apologize, promise change, vow to be different. But apologies are meaningless if their motives remain unchanged. Look at what they pursue, not what they claim. If their actions continue to lead them to the same benefit, even after saying they're sorry, then their apology is merely a tool, another rope they throw around your neck. As narrator, I guide you through the mindset that exposes all deception. Assume that every person has a goal, whether noble or corrupt, and observe how their behavior aligns with that goal. This does not make you paranoid, it makes you precise. A ruler who trusted words over motives lost kingdoms. A citizen who trusted motives over words survived courts filled with serpents. Study the timing of their requests. Why do they need something from you now? Why the urgency? Urgency is a manipulator's shield. It prevents you from thinking. They rush you because a thinking mind is their enemy. When you slow down, motives reveal themselves naturally. The person who pressures you does not fear your refusal. They fear your clarity. You must also learn to separate emotional tone from strategic intention. Manipulators are masters of emotional coloring. They speak softly to lower your guard. They raise their voice to intimidate. They cry to reset the power dynamic. But emotion is never the goal. Emotion is the doorway they use to enter your decisions. Look through the emotion to the outcome they are guiding you toward. When the outcome always benefits them disproportionately, the motive stands exposed. Another sign of hidden motives lies in inconsistency. A manipulator's story shifts like the wind because the truth is not their priority. Control is. Their inconsistencies are the cracks in their mask. A story that conveniently changes after you question it reveals a motive to escape accountability. A compliment that turns into criticism the moment you disagree reveals a motive to dominate your self-esteem. Every inconsistency is a breadcrumb leading back to their true intention. To truly master this keynote, you must adopt a habit that few practice. Detach yourself emotionally during key moments of conversation. Not permanently, only long enough to observe. When someone asks something of you, imagine for a moment that you are a silent advisor observing from afar. Would that advisor see sincerity or strategy? Would they see a friend or a puppeteer pulling with invisible strings? Manipulators thrive when you react. They lose when you analyze. The moment you shift from emotional reaction to strategic observation, the game changes. They can no longer predict you. They can no longer guide you. Their tools become useless. Their influence dissolves. For manipulation depends entirely on your response. If you see the motive behind the move, you disarm the move itself. Remember also that manipulators rarely attack directly. They operate through suggestion, implication, subtle framing. They plant ideas in your mind and let you water them. That is why studying motives is essential. If you can recognize the seeds they plant, you can refuse to nourish them. You can let their influence die before it ever grows roots. When you master the skill of reading motives, you gain an advantage that most people never develop. You see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. You become the observer who cannot be deceived, the strategist who cannot be cornered, the ruler of your own mind and decisions. Words change with every breath. Motives remain constant. Only the wise learn to see them. Silence is the most potent weapon in the arsenal of the cunning, yet it is the one most fearfully underestimated. Manipulative people thrive on noise, on reaction, on debate, on the emotional tremors that reveal your weaknesses. They seek chaos in your responses, a foothold in your defensiveness, a map to exploit your vulnerabilities. To weaponize silence is to strip them of every advantage, to turn their own tactics against them without lifting a finger. Imagine a manipulator confronting you with their agenda, their smooth words layered with charm and hidden threats. Most people respond immediately, justifying, explaining, defending, apologizing, falling directly into the trap. Each word you utter is a lever they can pull, a piece of evidence they can twist. But silence disrupts the rhythm of their power. It forces them into uncertainty. Their carefully calculated control begins to crack the moment your voice does not validate their narrative. Weaponizing silence does not mean passive avoidance. It is strategic observation. It is the deliberate choice to not react, to not give the manipulator any emotional currency. Every question left unanswered, every insult met with stillness, every plea ignored becomes a statement far louder than any argument. In silence, you dictate the pace of interaction. You make them wait, squirm, and reveal their desperation. A manipulator hates unpredictability because it removes the certainty they rely upon. Silence introduces unpredictability with the precision of a dagger. Silence is also the mirror through which manipulation reflects itself. When you refuse to engage with their provocations, the manipulator begins to speak louder, push harder, embellish, exaggerate. Each additional word, each frantic attempt to coax a response, lays bare their motives. What they attempt to conceal in whispers is often revealed in their panic. Silence is not weakness. It is a lens through which truth is magnified. The manipulator exposes themselves without you ever lifting a hand. It is crucial to understand the psychology behind this weapon. Humans are conditioned to fill gaps, to interpret silence as a signal. The manipulator expects your voice to confirm, deny, or defend. When you do not provide it, they face a void, and their mind, conditioned to control, begins to generate panic. They begin to over-explain, over-apologize, over-promise. Because silence triggers their fear of exposure. They fear that without your cooperation, without your participation, their influence diminishes. Weaponizing silence requires mastery of restraint. It is not merely abstaining from speaking, it is deliberate, calculated stillness. It is holding your gaze without surrendering your position, nodding without conceding, letting the conversation unfold while you remain impervious. This is the art of the Machiavellian observer, present, alert, yet untouchable. You learn that silence itself communicates far more than words ever could. A measured pause can suggest wisdom, indifference, superiority, or unspoken strategy. Each pause becomes a tool, a shield, and a sword simultaneously. Manipulators are often impatient by nature. They feed on immediate reactions because it reassures them of their control. When you deny them this reaction, you fracture the rhythm they rely upon. Every second of your silence forces them to reevaluate, to recalculate, to reveal the gaps in their scheme. You become a riddle they cannot solve, a problem they cannot control, a presence they cannot dominate. Silence also protects your boundaries. Manipulators push, probe, and intrude, seeking compliance. The natural tendency is to defend, justify, or explain, but each word gives them leverage. Silence, when used intentionally, communicates the strongest boundary of all. I will not participate in your game. It signals that your control lies firmly in your hands, that you are impervious to their influence, and that you dictate the terms of engagement. To weaponize silence effectively, you must combine it with acute observation. Silence alone is passive. Silence combined with awareness becomes deadly. Watch the subtle cues, changes in tone, shifts in posture, facial micro-expressions. Every twitch of unease, every flinch of irritation is a victory. By speaking less and observing more, you gain the intelligence manipulators desperately hide, and you gather the ammunition for calculated responses. Furthermore, silence commands respect in ways speech often cannot. The manipulator assumes that power resides in the one who argues, persuades, or pressures. When you refuse to enter the arena, when your silence resists their machinations, you position yourself as the silent authority, the calm eye in their storm. They become dependent on reading you, watching you, and in doing so, they reveal their weaknesses. Silence is also a form of psychological warfare. It unsettles the manipulator in ways confrontation cannot. Argument allows them to regain control, to twist facts, to appeal to emotions. Silence leaves them with nothing. You do not react, you do not justify, you do not validate. You exist simply as the observer who cannot be manipulated, the strategist who cannot be forced, the adversary who cannot be engaged on their terms. In the practice of weaponized silence, timing is crucial. Too long, and you risk appearing disinterested or naive; too short, and the manipulator regains confidence. The art lies in knowing exactly when to hold still, when to let their panic rise, when to allow your silence to speak louder than any words. Each calculated pause becomes a message, a negotiation, and a challenge all at once. The power of silence is not just in the interaction, it is in the preparation. A Machiavellian strategist rehearses restraint in thought, predicts the manipulator's moves, and anticipates their desperation. Every encounter becomes a chessboard, and silence is the opening move that forces the opponent to reveal their strategy, their intentions, their vulnerabilities. Silence is the weapon that requires patience, observation, and discipline, yet its results are more absolute than any confrontation, any argument, any appeal. It transforms the manipulator from predator to prey, from controller to exposed, vulnerable actor. It gives you the power to dominate without aggression, to gain insight without compromise, and to win without appearing to fight. In the theater of power and deception, strength is often a liability when displayed openly. The manipulator thrives on measuring your confidence, testing your defenses, and gauging your reactions. If they perceive you as a formidable opponent, they will fight harder, push further, and exploit every angle to weaken you. But if you can master the art of appearing weaker than you are, you gain an advantage that is subtle, profound, and devastating in its effectiveness. To appear weaker is not to be weak. It is to disguise your strength, to mask your strategy, and to lure the manipulator into overconfidence. Manipulators are hunters. They scan for openings, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities. They strike at those who appear rigid, reactive, or impervious. By contrast, when you present yourself as less capable, less prepared, or even less aware than you truly are, you create an illusion. This illusion disarms the manipulator. They begin to underestimate you, to miscalculate your intentions, and to act recklessly. Every misstep they take under the false assumption of your weakness is a step into the trap you have silently prepared. The power of this tactic lies in patience and observation. A manipulator, confident in their perceived superiority, will reveal much more of their true nature. They may attempt to dominate the conversation, push for control in decisions, or escalate subtle threats, all because they assume your compliance. Your calm, composed demeanor, paired with a careful presentation of vulnerability, encourages them to overreach. They believe they have the upper hand, yet every action they take exposes their motives, their methods, and their limitations. Appearing weaker does not mean surrendering your principles or your authority. It is a strategic act, a performance that manipulates the manipulator's perception while leaving your actual power intact. You allow them to feel secure in their control, all the while gathering intelligence, observing patterns, and preparing your eventual response. This is the difference between a reactive victim and a calculated strategist. The manipulator is blind to the truth because you are careful to present only the fragment of reality that benefits your ultimate design. This tactic also exploits a psychological truth. Arrogance breeds mistakes. When manipulators believe they are superior, they act without restraint. They speak more freely, push boundaries more boldly, and reveal their intentions more openly. Each assumption of control is a gift to the strategist who understands the value of hidden strength. By appearing weaker, you invite overconfidence, and overconfidence is the manipulator's fatal flaw. Furthermore, appearing weaker allows you to navigate social dynamics with subtlety. Manipulators often thrive in environments where they can dominate through intimidation, charm, or deceit. If you present yourself as formidable and constantly resistant, they may retreat only to return with more cunning. But by presenting weakness, you manipulate the manipulator into making the first move, into revealing their hand, into exposing the intricacies of their strategy. You observe without interference, and in doing so, you gather the knowledge required to act decisively when the moment is right. There is also a tactical advantage in the element of surprise. The manipulator, convinced of your inferiority, will rarely anticipate your eventual counteraction. When you strike or assert your true strength, the impact is magnified precisely because it was unexpected. They are unprepared, overextended, and vulnerable, while you have conserved energy, patience, and clarity. This delayed revelation of strength mirrors the principle of the silent assassin. Strike when the opponent is blind to the threat. To implement this strategy effectively, one must combine humility with observation. Do not let your gestures, words, or demeanor reveal arrogance. Avoid boasting, avoid challenging unnecessarily, avoid demonstrating capabilities too early. Yet within this humility, remain acutely aware of the manipulator's tactics, intentions, and weaknesses. Let them talk, let them act, and let them believe they are shaping the encounter. Every revelation they make while underestimating you becomes intelligence, a clue, a weapon for future use. A master of appearing weaker also understands restraint in emotion. Manipulators exploit reaction. They measure anger, defensiveness, and impatience. By controlling your emotional display, by appearing timid or uncertain, you encourage them to believe their influence is absolute. But your mind is alert, your strategy is intact, and your patience allows you to choose the moment when revelation of strength will be most effective. The manipulator, blinded by their own assumptions, walks willingly into the space you have prepared. This tactic extends beyond one-on-one encounters. In group settings, appearing weaker can shift alliances, influence perception, and subtly redirect power dynamics. Manipulators often calculate based on public perception. When you allow them to see you as less competent or less dominant than you are, you shape their actions and those of others around you. They take risks, they challenge boundaries, and they reveal loyalties, all under the illusion that they are controlling the situation. You remain the silent architect of influence. It is important to note that this strategy requires meticulous timing and situational awareness. Appearing weaker in every moment without purpose risks creating real vulnerability. The art lies in selective vulnerability, choosing moments to conceal strength, to underplay capability, and to guide the manipulator into predictable behavior. By doing so, you create a rhythm they cannot anticipate, a narrative they cannot control, and a battlefield where every move they make becomes an opportunity for your advantage. Ultimately, The principle of appearing weaker than you are is about control disguised as passivity. You manipulate the manipulator's perception, exploit their assumptions, and convert their overconfidence into actionable insight. You move silently, observe relentlessly, and strike with precision when the moment favors you. It is a strategy of patience, calculation, and intelligence, transforming the supposed weak into the secretly powerful, and turning every manipulator's confidence into their own undoing. In the theater of influence, knowledge is currency, and information is power. The manipulator thrives on confusion, half-truths, and selective disclosure. They rely on the assumption that you cannot see the whole picture, that your decisions are shaped by the fragments they allow you to perceive. To outsmart them, you must become the master of information, the arbiter of what is known and what is concealed. Control of information is not simply about secrecy, it is about shaping perception, directing thought, and managing the battlefield of the mind. A manipulator cannot operate effectively if they cannot predict, confuse, or exploit your decisions. By controlling what they know, what others know, and crucially, what you reveal about yourself, you turn their own tactics into instruments of your advantage. Information flows become levers, and perception becomes the tool through which you influence outcomes. Those who fail to master information are perpetually at the mercy of those who manipulate it. A wise strategist understands that knowledge is never merely accumulated, it is wielded. Control begins with self-discipline. Every word you speak, every action you allow to be observed, is a piece of data in the hands of the manipulator. Even the smallest disclosure, your mood, your schedule, your intentions, can be exploited. Therefore, the first principle is restraint. Speak sparingly, reveal selectively, and allow only the necessary fragments to surface. The manipulator will attempt to fill gaps with assumptions, but by controlling the narrative, you determine the shape of those assumptions. You become the unseen director of a play where they believe they are the lead actor. Information control is also a matter of timing. Knowledge revealed too early can be dangerous. Knowledge revealed too late may be wasted. Observe the manipulator's needs, their expectations, and their assumptions, and allow disclosure only when it confers advantage. A subtle hint at the right moment, a delayed truth, or a calculated omission can redirect their actions, guide their choices, and subtly undermine their control. Timing transforms ordinary information into strategic weaponry. The most potent form of control, however, lies not just in concealing information, but in shaping the perception of what is known. A manipulator reacts not to reality, but to their perception of reality. By managing how they perceive your intentions, your resources, and your alliances, you manipulate the very decisions they make. You do not merely hide facts, you craft a version of reality that serves your strategy. In this, the Machiavellian mind resembles a master chess player, positioning pieces not to show their strength, but to guide the opponent into predictable moves. Control also extends to the flow of information between others. Manipulators often exploit networks, friends, colleagues, acquaintances, to gather intelligence and to influence indirectly. By controlling these channels, by choosing what is shared, with whom, and when, you create layers of opacity that protect your strategy and obscure your motives. You become a central node in the web of knowledge, the source of truth, and the guardian of secrets. Those who seek to manipulate you must navigate this carefully, often revealing themselves in the process. Another aspect of controlling information is intentional ambiguity. A manipulator seeks certainty. They crave clarity where they can predict and exploit. By maintaining ambiguity about your intentions, resources, and priorities, you force them into miscalculation. They must act without complete knowledge, leaving gaps for you to exploit. Ambiguity is not confusion. It is controlled obscurity, a deliberate shaping of what is known and what is deliberately left hidden. Observation is the twin of information control. Every statement, every gesture, every reaction from the manipulator provides insight, but only if you are attentive. Collect the fragments they reveal, note the inconsistencies, and analyze the patterns. When you control what they know while meticulously observing what they reveal, You hold the power of foresight. They move according to assumptions, and you move according to knowledge. This asymmetry is where victory resides. A crucial component of this strategy is the strategic use of misinformation. A manipulator often relies on assumptions, but those assumptions can be directed. Subtle suggestions, partial truths, or carefully crafted statements can lead them into actions that serve your goals. The key is subtlety. Misinformation must appear credible, woven seamlessly into observable reality so that the manipulator never suspects your orchestration. Through this, you do not merely defend against manipulation, you redirect it. Finally, control of information requires discipline and self-awareness. Every interaction, every decision, every subtle signal you send is data to those who observe. You must constantly evaluate what is being perceived and how it can be leveraged. This vigilance is not paranoia, it is strategy. A single careless disclosure can unravel weeks of tactical planning, while a single well-timed revelation can shift the balance of influence irreversibly. The master of information does not fight in the open. They fight in the realm of perception, influence, and timing. They understand that the battle is never truly over the facts themselves, but over how those facts are perceived, interpreted, and acted upon. By controlling what is known, by shaping perception, by concealing, revealing, and timing disclosure, you become the unseen force that guides the manipulator's moves while remaining impervious to their control. Information is more than a weapon. It is the kingdom in which you rule. A manipulator who cannot grasp your intentions, who cannot predict your moves, and who cannot influence your perception is powerless. By controlling information like a prince, you ensure that the world reacts to your design rather than to the manipulator's deception. In the realm of influence, human behavior is not random. Every action has a consequence, every decision a lesson. The manipulator thrives in environments where rules are blurred and consequences are weak. They exploit inconsistency, they prey on indecision, and they flourish when loyalty is undervalued. To outsmart such individuals, one must establish a principle as old as power itself: reward loyalty, punish manipulation. This is not morality, this is strategy. It is the method by which a ruler commands respect, deters deceit, and ensures that influence flows according to design rather than chaos. Rewarding loyalty begins with recognition. Those who act with integrity, who align their actions with truth, who serve your interests without subterfuge, must be acknowledged, not merely with words, but with tangible reinforcement. Loyalty is a fragile commodity. It requires cultivation. Praise, trust, opportunity, and empowerment are the currencies that ensure it flourishes. The manipulator thrives on sowing discord. By valuing loyalty, you create a protective shield around yourself, an environment where deception cannot easily take root. Those who are loyal become allies, observers, and enforcers of the standard you establish. Punishment, however, must be equally deliberate. Manipulation is an act of aggression. It is a deliberate attempt to shape outcomes for personal gain at your expense. It is subtle, often invisible to the untrained eye, but its effects are corrosive. The manipulator depends on ambiguity and hesitation. By punishing manipulation promptly and consistently, you communicate two critical truths: that deceit will not be tolerated, and that the consequences of manipulation are unavoidable. This is not vengeance, it is deterrence. The manipulator learns that every attempt to bend reality or influence outcomes unfairly will carry a price, and that awareness alone becomes a check on their ambition. The execution of this principle requires acute observation. Recognizing loyalty is easier than recognizing manipulation. Manipulators conceal themselves behind charm, flattery, and false intentions. They create confusion to distract from their motives. To punish manipulation, you must first detect it. Study behavior patterns, note inconsistencies, and observe outcomes. Ask yourself, who consistently acts in alignment with truth, transparency, and shared objectives, and who consistently twists, delays, or deceives for personal advantage? The answer to this question is the foundation for a system of reward and punishment. Loyalty and manipulation are not binary. They exist along a spectrum. The Machiavellian strategist understands this and calibrates responses accordingly. Minor loyalty, small gestures of honesty, subtle alignment with your goals. These should be acknowledged, cultivated, and amplified. Small manipulations, minor attempts to control or deceive, should be addressed swiftly, sometimes subtly, to prevent escalation. The key is proportionality. Rewards and punishments must be meaningful, visible, and credible. This teaches observers, manipulators, and allies alike how the system operates, creating a predictable environment that favors transparency and obedience. Strategic timing amplifies the impact of both reward and punishment. A reward given too late diminishes its influence. A punishment delayed loses its deterrent effect. By acting decisively, you communicate authority. Those who witness the consequences of manipulation see clearly that deceit is risky. Those who experience recognition for loyalty feel empowered, committed, and aligned with your vision. Timing, therefore, is the amplifier of effect, transforming ordinary actions into strategic lessons. Punishment does not always mean confrontation. It can be subtle, indirect, and elegant. A manipulator may not be openly challenged. Instead, their opportunities can be constrained, their access limited, or their influence diminished. This silent correction communicates power without spectacle. Conversely, rewarding loyalty can extend beyond mere acknowledgement. It can include promotions, privileges, or the granting of influence, tools that reinforce alignment while furthering your strategic goals. The careful calibration of reward and punishment transforms relationships into instruments of control rather than sources of chaos. Another crucial component is consistency. Manipulators study patterns, they exploit inconsistencies. If loyalty is sometimes ignored or manipulation sometimes excused, the rules themselves are undermined. Every act of reward and punishment must reinforce a clear, unwavering principle. Honesty, transparency, and alignment are rewarded, while deceit, exploitation, and subversion are penalized. Consistency builds credibility. Manipulators cannot operate effectively when the environment is predictable in its enforcement and reward of behavior. The interplay between reward and punishment also serves as psychological leverage. Loyalty, when valued, inspires emulation. Observers begin to align their behavior with your expectations to gain similar benefits. Manipulation, when punished, deters future attempts and erodes confidence in those who might seek to exploit others. Through this dual mechanism, you shape behavior without appearing tyrannical. You are not merely reacting to manipulation, you are engineering the social environment so that manipulation becomes costly and loyalty becomes advantageous. This principle extends beyond individuals to networks, teams, and communities. The manipulator cannot thrive in an environment where loyalty is respected, where deceit carries consequences, and where observers understand the rules. By applying these principles systemically, you create a culture in which influence is aligned with truth, manipulation is self-limiting, and loyalty becomes the currency of power. Every interaction, every decision, and every consequence reinforces the system, transforming potential chaos into controlled order. The final layer of mastery is subtlety. Reward and punishment need not always be public. They can be personal, discreet, or symbolic. Their impact lies not merely in visibility, but in psychological resonance. The manipulator, aware of the consequences even when unspoken, internalizes caution. The loyal, when discreetly rewarded, internalize commitment. In this way, the Machiavellian strategist does not merely manage behavior. They shape thought, influence intention, and direct outcomes with precision and elegance. Power, influence, and human behavior are not won by naive trust or blind reaction. Manipulators will always seek advantage, exploiting hesitation, emotion, and inattention. But the rules of strategy are clear. Understand motives, weaponize silence, appear weaker than you are, control information, reward loyalty, and punish manipulation. Each principle is a tool, a weapon, a lens through which the battlefield of human interaction becomes visible. To apply these methods is to move beyond the victim's role and step into the strategist's domain. It is to see deception for what it is, to anticipate it, and to turn it against those who wield it. These are not tricks. They are laws of influence that have governed courts, kingdoms, and human ambition for centuries. Remember, the manipulator relies on your reaction, your haste, your lack of awareness. By mastering these 14 savage ways, you no longer react, you dictate, you no longer guess, you know, you no longer follow, you lead. The path of the Machiavellian strategist is not for the timid or the naive, but for those willing to study, observe, and act with precision. The world is filled with deceivers, schemers, and manipulators, but armed with strategy, patience, and insight, you are untouchable. You become the silent force that guides outcomes, the unseen hand-shaping events, the ruler of perception itself. The battlefield of manipulation is no longer a trap. It becomes a canvas on which you paint your victory.